Hi everybody, Kirsten here, and as it is a Wednesday, it is time for a book talk. I mentioned in my last video that I actually wanted to talk about hidden bodies, but I noticed that I hadn't talked about or even written a review anywhere online for the first book in the series, and that is You by Caroline Kepnes, and so that is why I'm going to be talking about this book today. Next week I will be doing a book talk for Hidden Bodies because it's so good. Back to the first book in the series. So I picked this book up on recommendation several months ago. It's not like any kind of book that I normally read. I don't read a lot of thrillers. There's a certain kind of adult fiction that I just can't read. And crime novels and thrillers are those. I cannot do it. For some reason, I just cannot get into those kinds of books. And there's just something about me that's not wired that way. I don't know what it is. But I went ahead and picked this book up, even though it is an adult thriller, and I'm so glad that I did because it is unlike anything that I've ever read. Completely 100% unique. I couldn't put it down. It is, to me, the way that the story is told and the way that it unfolds and the pacing of the book and just the kind of narrator that this book has is all so completely unique to anything that I've ever read, and it was so refreshing to read something like that. This book is completely in narration of one character. It's also from a male perspective, which I don't read a lot of adult thrillers, so I don't read a lot of books that do have a male perspective as the main protagonist. And not only that, but this guy's nuts. Like, literally nuts. This guy is definitely a sociopath. Within the first 15 pages, you realize that this guy's actually a stalker. Like, he is a legitimate stalker. You meet him in a bookstore. His name is Joe. You meet him in a bookstore. He has always worked in this bookstore. He's been working there since he was a teenager. Mr. Mooney is the owner of the bookstore and basically lets him have free reign of it. He meets this girl in the first chapter. Her name is Beck. She comes in to purchase a couple of books. He is very entranced by her as soon as she comes in. He's very entranced by her. She buys some books that aren't the typical, and he gets so drawn into that she's buying these intellectual books. So he takes her credit card, memorizes her name, and then finds her. This entire book is the story of their relationship and how it unfolds and the things that he does to maintain it and his thought process, and it's certifiably crazy. I loved reading from his point of view because he is the bad guy of the story, but he's the protagonist. So I'm still, as I'm reading this story and I'm seeing what he does and I'm seeing the actions that he takes and I'm seeing everything that happens to these characters that he comes in contact with, and I'm still rooting for him to get this girl. I'm still rooting for him to get her. The pacing was really well. There was not a point in this book where there were lulls. There was no time where I felt like things should speed up. Everything happened in such a way that it just flowed so naturally. The character development in this story is insane. So Beck is your manic pixie dream girl, and it's so important that you go into this book knowing that it's okay that she is, because I hate that kind of character. I hate that manic pixie dream girl scenario. It's like one of my least favorites. I have a hard time reading things like that because I hate the over-sexualization of this quirky, not your average girl, and it just drives me insane. But anyways, it is very important that you go into this story knowing that she is, and knowing that it's okay that she is, because her character unfolds throughout the rest of the book. Joe becomes this insane person, and his actions that he takes throughout the book, it's unknown to me as a reader whether or not this is the first time he's done something like this. Is this the first time, or is this, a continuation of previous actions, and is this just something that he does all the time and has just gotten away with up until this point? Is this just how he is? Is this how he's always going to be as a person? And the boldness and the rashness that he gets farther and farther into this book is so pivotal for character development. It is amazing to me. The writing is so good. Although the characters themselves are pretentious, the writing is not. And it's so beautiful to me the way this book was written. It was so well written that I was rooting for this guy. I wanted him to do these things. This entire time while reading this book, I'm like, okay, yeah, that seems like a good idea. Just go ahead and do it. And that is the sign of a good writer, that I would be willing to completely shut off that part of my brain and go like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, you go ahead and do that, Joe. I loved all these aspects of this book. I think it's a very good read. It's a go-to read, and it's probably one of my most recommended books right now. Every single person that I see, I'm like, oh, you should read this book. Here, do you want to borrow it? Like, it's so good. Have you read this book? Have you enjoyed it? Is it something that, like me, was out of your comfort zone, or is this the kind of book that you normally read? I would definitely recommend it to everybody if they haven't yet. So go out and pick this book up, and then pick up Hidden Bodies, because I'm going to be talking about that one next week. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.